You ever have one of those neighbors that just don't understand boundaries? I'm not talking about someone borrowing sugar or accidentally parking in front of your driveway once or twice. I'm talking about full-blown, self-proclaimed queen of the neighborhood types who believe every road, every yard, and every rule should bow down to them. Well, folks, let me tell you a story about the time I had to deal with HOA Karen, the woman who thought my ranch gate was just some swinging decoration for her joyrides, and how I finally set a trap she never saw coming. Now, before we dive into Karen's nonsense, let me paint you a picture of my life. I own a nice chunk of land out on the edge of town. Not a massive Texas cattle ranch, but enough acreage to keep some horses, a few cows, and plenty of peace and quiet. The kind of place where the crickets sing at night, the stars actually show, and the only real traffic is a deer crossing the dirt road. The entrance to my property has a big, solid metal ranch gate, sturdy, green, with my initials welded across the front. It's not just for show either, it keeps my animals in and keeps strangers out. At least, that was the plan. See, my property backs up to a small suburban subdivision, one of those cookie-cutter neighborhoods, ruled by an HOA. And if you've never lived near an HOA before, let me tell you, they're like mini dictatorships. They'll fine you if your grass is too tall, your shutters are the wrong shade of beige, or if your dog barks at the mailman too often. And at the head of this HOA was none other than Karen. The first time I noticed anything was a Sunday morning. I was sipping my coffee on the porch when I heard the sound of tires crunching gravel. At first, I thought maybe it was a delivery truck that got lost. But when I looked down the drive, there she was, Karen, in her shiny white SUV, sunglasses perched on her nose, phone in hand, just cruising straight through my ranch gate like she owned the place. She didn't stop, didn't wave, didn't even look guilty. She just barreled down my private road, and get this, drove right through to the neighborhood on the other side. I was baffled. Who just does that? Later that week, I caught her at it again. This time, I flagged her down. "Excuse me, ma'am," I said, keeping my voice polite. "This is private property. That gate isn't a shortcut for the neighborhood." She looked at me like I had 3 heads. "Oh, don't be silly," she said. "This road is much faster than going around. Everyone uses it." I shook my head. "Everyone doesn't live here. You can't just cut across my land." Karen gave me that classic smirk, the one that says she's already decided. "She's right and you're wasting your breath." "Well, I'll bring it up at the next HOA meeting," she said. "Maybe we'll vote on it. This path should be public anyway." I almost laughed in her face. "Ma'am, you can't vote on my property." She scoffed, revved her engine, and peeled out, spitting gravel behind her. I thought maybe that was the end of it. Surely, she'd realize I wasn't bluffing. But no. Over the next few weeks, I caught her and a few of her HOA buddies cutting through my ranch again and again, morning, afternoon, even late at night. One evening, I found my gate, scratched up from where she hadn't opened it properly and just scraped her bumper right past. Another time, I found fast food trash tossed along my driveway. That was it. I was done playing nice. Step 1 of my plan: warnings. I posted big, bold signs on the gate. Private property, nitrogen monoxide trespassing. Violators will be prosecuted. Karen's response: she tore one of the signs down and tossed it in my ditch. I caught the whole thing on a trail cam. When I confronted her again, she actually had the audacity to say, "You're being selfish. This road is for the community. We shouldn't have to drive the long way around." I told her flat out, "Lady, the only community this road serves is my livestock." That's when I decided if she wouldn't respect the rules, I'd make it impossible for her to ignore them. See, I wasn't about to do anything illegal or dangerous. No, I'm smarter than that. But I do know how to build a proper cattle guard, you know. Those grids of metal bars laid across a pit in the ground. Cars can drive over them fine, but livestock won't cross because they can't balance their hooves. So I installed one, right past my gate. Solid steel, perfectly safe, but loud as thunder when you drive across it. But here's the kicker. I also added a motion-activated sprinkler system right beside it. Anytime a vehicle passed through that wasn't mine, the sprinklers shot up a wave of freezing cold water. And just for extra flair, I rigged a little speaker to blast the sound of a cow mooing at full volume. It was harmless, it was legal, and best of all, it was humiliating. The very next morning, I heard the familiar roar of Karen's SUV. I watched from the porch, coffee in hand, as she approached the gate. She swung it open, smug as ever, and started driving through. Then it happened. Clunk, clunk, clunk. Her tires hit the cattle guard, rattling her whole car. She slammed on the brakes, confused, and that's when the sprinklers fired whoosh. drenching her SUV from all sides. She screamed, fumbling with the controls, windshield wipers flapping like crazy. And right on cue, the speaker let out a loud, echoing moo. I swear, I almost spit out my coffee laughing. She reversed so fast she nearly hit her own bumper on the gate. Then she tore out of there, tires screeching, soaked to the bone and humiliated. For a while, Karen didn't come back. But of course, she couldn't just let it go. A few days later, I got a letter in the mail from the HOA. It read, "Dear property owner, your road has been deemed a community access point. Please remove all obstructions immediately, or you will be fined." I laughed so hard I nearly fell off my porch. They really thought their little neighborhood committee had jurisdiction over my ranch. So I wrote back, "Dear HOA, your letter has been deemed nonsense. Please stop trespassing immediately, or you will be prosecuted." I attached a nice little USB stick with trail cam footage of Karen trespassing, tearing down my sign, and getting blasted by the sprinklers. Not long after, I got a visit from the sheriff. Turns out, Karen had actually filed a complaint against me. She claimed I had endangered her by setting traps on community property. The sheriff was a friend of mine. He came up to the porch, tipping his hat, and said, "Mind if I look at that footage you mentioned?" I showed him everything. Her joyrides, the vandalism, the sprinkler incident. He laughed so hard he had to wipe his eyes. "Son," he said, "that's about the funniest thing I've seen all month. And don't worry your property, your rules. If they trespass again, give me a call and I'll handle it." Word must have gotten back to the HOA, because after that, nobody dared cut through my gate again. My driveway stayed clean, my gate stayed intact, and my peace and quiet returned. As for Karen, well, rumor has it she tried to push the HOA to sue me. But once the rest of the neighborhood saw the trail cam footage, they voted her out as president. Apparently, people were tired of her antics anyway. The last I saw of her, she was driving the long way around, glaring at my gate every time she passed. But she never dared open it again. Looking back, I have to admit, I could have handled things differently. I could have just chained the gate shut. I could have pressed charges from the start. But sometimes, folks like Karen don't learn until you hit them where it hurts their pride. And let me tell you, nothing bruises a Karen's pride more than being soaked to the bone in front of her own neighbors, with the cow mooing at her like a heckler at a comedy show. So if you ever find yourself dealing with an HOA Karen who doesn't respect your boundaries, remember this. Sometimes, the best revenge is a little creativity, a little patience, and a whole lot of moo. So that's the story of how I set a trap for Karen and taught her the meaning of private property. If you enjoyed this tale of HOA madness, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who's had their own run-ins with a Karen. And always remember, respect the gate, or you might just get the sprinklers.